To many people, the name William Wilberforce rings a bell, but I wonder if you are familiar with the name of William Knibb. William Knibb was also involved in putting his hand to the plow in determination to putting an end to the slave trade, and in particular, slavery in the island of Jamaica. William Knibb was born in the city of Kettering, and as a young man moved with his brother Thomas to begin working in the city of Bristol. And these two young lads had come to be an apprentice to work beneath Mr. Fuller. Mr. Fuller soon became the Sunday school superintendent of the Broadmead Baptist Church there in the center of town. And he convinced these two workers to attend with him and also to begin laboring in the Sunday school. And it was in the Sunday school, as a Sunday school teacher, that William Knibb met the Savior. The teacher, Mr. Fuller, was preaching from a famous text, a favorite text to himself, one from the 3rd chapter of Jeremiah. The words are found in verse number 4. "Wilt thou not from this time cry unto me, my Father? Thou art the guide of my youth." The sermon, the lesson, was aimed at children, but it struck the heart of Mr. Knibb himself. He says this in his own words: "It was a most earnest and affectionate address, and under the divine blessing, it made a deep and, I trust, a lasting impression on my mind. And I hope that I was enabled to cast myself at the foot of the cross as a perishing sinner." But it was not William who was first interested in reaching the souls of Jamaica. It was his brother Thomas. He answered the call, the missionary call, and left home and headed for that island. But only after 3 months of being in Jamaica, his brother died of malaria. Upon hearing the news, William's heart was crushed in a million pieces, but rose to the occasion and answered the call himself and said, "I will take Thomas's place." William Knibb headed for Jamaica, but when he arrived, his soul was devastated as he watched the way that the Jamaicans were treated by the slave owners of the land, of the island. Yes, he was burdened first and foremost for their salvation, but grieved at the way they were being treated by the rest of humanity. And he made it his life's goal to see the people of Jamaica freed once and for all. On July 31st, 1838, at midnight, the Emancipation Act would finally cause slavery to be put to death. And as they drew closer and closer to midnight, Mr. Knibb stood up in the pulpit and shouted, "The monster is dying." As the clock began to strike, he cried again, "The monster is dying." And when the hour had fully struck, he proclaimed, "The monster is dead." May God raise up men and women today with the same passion and desire for the souls of the lost to be converted, but also for freedom and equality to be known throughout all of humanity.